Timing is one of the most important pieces of the succession plan of your company. Failure to understand the dynamic between your own career life cycle and the business's life cycle risks bringing in someone at the wrong time and losing the momentum that you have fought so hard to build within your business. Hi, my name is Barrett Young, and I'm a partner here at GWCPA. We're an accounting firm that specializes in succession planning, and we've helped over 100 businesses successfully transition to the next generation of leadership. In this video, we're going to go to the computer and I'm going to walk you through the various stages of your company's growth and what you need to do to ensure that your company's life cycle outlives your own career.
Every company has a life cycle, and just like a company, we also in our career have a life cycle. The typical stages of a life cycle are going to be the startup phase, then the success phase, the maturity phase, and the decline phase. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that once you are in the decline phase as a business owner, you've lost complete usefulness, but typically within our careers, we have times when growing the business interests us, and then times when sustaining the business are most interesting to us, and then times when other things in our life just are more interesting. They take more priority. Within a company, you'll have people who are in the maturity phase early on in the company. You'll have people who are still in the growth phase in the late stages of the company. You'll have hundreds of employees fully contained within the life cycle of that company. And then occasionally you will have employees who are capped by the growth of the company. They want something more, and for whatever reason, the business does not want to continue to grow, does not want to accommodate them, and those people start their own businesses. And when someone starts a business, the founder and the life cycle of their business typically map pretty close to one another. When a founder is in an early startup phase in their career and into a success phase in their career, they have the energy, they have the desire to work the nights, the weekends, to push a brand new business through its own startup phase into its growth phase. And similarly, when the founder reaches the maturity phase of their own career, the business is going to follow shortly after. Within a small business where you have a founder who started the business and a founder where the business is going to stop when the founder stops, you're going to see that those life cycles pretty similarly map to each other. Now, this is why you will also not typically see someone in a maturity phase or in the decline phase of their own career pushing a company through the startup and success phase of a business. Their interests just do not align with pushing the company through that very rough beginning. I've seen a lot of success is from second career entrepreneurs. So this is somebody who's probably still in the success phase or the early maturity phase of their first career. What they will typically do, though, is they will either buy a business that is already entering the success phase and they will push it through, or they have the capital and the contacts necessary. If they do start something from scratch, it's probably an idea that they've been tangentially working on through their career, that a problem they've seen in the marketplace, and now they have the time and the resources and the connections to push a company very quickly through the startup phase. So in that case, it's not the typical ramp up that you would see at a normal fight tooth and nail startup. It's a very quick scaling, like within months, to get a company through the startup phase and into the success phase. When a business owner is now in this maturity phase and they are starting to think about what's going to happen to this company after I'm gone, that is where we talk about succession planning. There are a couple risks with succession planning. There's the risk of waiting too long to begin succession planning. And so this is typically what happens when somebody doesn't give it much thought. They are in the decline phase of their career. They're typically a year, 3 years out from retirement, and they say, it's time for me to stop doing this. I don't have the energy, I don't have the desire, and I need to sell the company. There's the risk of waiting too late in your own career trajectory to start succession planning. Also, one of the issues with that is if you've never identified somebody within the business to be that successor, you're going to grab somebody that's maybe just at the start of the success phase of their own career, and you're going to try and sell them the business. They're through the startup phase of their own career. They've proven themselves as a technician within your company. The problem with this, by waiting too late in your own career phase and maybe starting too early in their career phase, is the business is already at a steep decline. And it's going to be very difficult for them to come in to stop that decline and turn it around and turn it into growth again. When an entrepreneur waits too long in their career to think about succession planning, that's typically where you start talking about exit planning. With exit planning, I don't really care as much necessarily what happens with my company after I am gone. My goal is to maximize the valuation, maximize the buyout of the company. And so I'm probably going to do it a little bit earlier. If you really do wait and you have nobody to take over, then the value of that company on its decline phase is just going to continue to go down and down. You haven't identified anybody in the company to take it over. And so I need somebody external to the company to take this over and do whatever they want with it. So that is exit planning. There's another risk in succession planning, waiting too long. That's the risk of bringing in someone too late in their own career. But the company in this phase is really in a decline phase and never is able to have enough people to ramp up the momentum in order to continue growing the company. Incidentally, this is why generally estate planning as a business succession tool is a bad idea. Most people, when they talk about estate planning, they're going to be in their 80s or 90s, hopefully. And the people that are going to come in and finally step into leadership running the company, it's going to be very late in their own careers, typically. So this is what succession planning generally looks like. I've grown this company, it's doing well, come in and buy it and continue to do well with it. And you'll see there's really multiple companies that are overlapping. So I'm coming in here at the tail end of the success phase. I'm not really looking to grow the business. I'm looking to continue the success that the business has already had. And so I really want to just drag out this top line of the success curve as long as possible. There's nothing wrong with that. Typically, this looks like someone who has come into a company and they are buying a job. I worked this company for 25 years. It's already set up. All you need to do is step into it and work it for 25 years, make what money you can to make a successful living for you and your family, and then sell it the same way to somebody else. So the company itself never really grows beyond the founder. It just brings in founders at strategic times to take over that job, to take over that work, and continue this long term. Now, the alternative to this is legacy planning. And so legacy planning means that a company can really scale. And what it takes for this to be successful is it takes leadership training. It takes a pathway to leadership within the company. It takes identifying people at various stages. So you'll see there's a lot of overlap in the careers of these leaders throughout the company. And because there is a strategic intention to pass off the company before I've left the success phase or just on the tail end of my success phase, while the company still has momentum, we are bringing in leaders and the company is able to grow larger than any one leader would be able to do by themselves. And so this is legacy planning.
So once we're ready to begin getting serious about business succession planning, it's going to require a couple things from us as the owner of the business. So the first thing that it's going to require from us is honesty about ourselves and our own position within our career life cycle and also the reality of the business life cycle. So it's natural for us after years of pushing a business through the startup and the growth phases of the life cycle to want to enjoy the fruit of that labor as it enters the maturity phase and it starts to get really profitable. However, our business life cycle lags behind our own career life cycle a little bit. And if we wait too long, we might find that as our career life cycle enters the decline phase, that our business life cycle has already started to progress down the maturity phase. Some of the questions you can ask yourself is just, do you find yourself passing on opportunities because you're comfortable where you're at? Do you find yourself neglecting necessary system changes just because system changes are exhausting? Do you find your own tolerance for risk has changed? Do you just find your interest in other things besides the business to be increasing? One good question to ask is, have you ever been vocal with anybody else about your plans? And then part of this also is asking yourself, what are the uncomfortable conversations that I'm avoiding? You might have a key employee who's awesome in a lot of different areas, but it's an uncomfortable conversation to say, I don't necessarily think you're ready to take over this business yet. It's going to require us to be honest with the business. Do we have a business that is worth outliving our career? For someone to buy a business instead of go out and start one themselves, they have to think that what they are buying is going to put them in a better position than they would be in if they just started something. If you are the linchpin within that company, if everything revolves around you, your personality, to the decisions that you make, it's going to be very hard to separate the value of the business from your value as the operator of that business. And finally, the last thing that it's going to require from us when we do talk about succession, when we do have identified our successor and they've started to make more of the decisions and move into that position, it's going to require us to trust that next generation and to start to let go of the company. There's a big tendency to want to maintain voting control of the business, even if you're not maintaining the operation control, always just to have that trump card in the back of your pocket of, well, I'm the owner and we're not going to go that direction. But that's going to burn out that key employee or that kid that is working in the business. If every time they want to do something because they're in the startup or the growth phase of their own career, if they know that ultimately they're going to get their the momentum ripped out from underneath them. Now, if you are the key employee and you're watching this, you do want to continue to grow this business into the future, there are a couple action steps that you can take as well that will put you in a good position and also reassure us as the owner that you're serious about this. So the first one, start to look for small wins or departments or branches within the company that you can take over, maybe moving into a new territory, moving into a new department or a new service level, maybe heading off a conversion, something that is a place where you can invest your energy and your motivation. You might need to talk to the owner just about what your interest is and ask to take responsibility for those things. That's going to show us that you are growing past the technical role, working in the field, working with the clients. You're growing past that and you're starting to get into the back office operations of the company, because being a business owner means more than just working in the technical role that the company operates in. If your personal life is in a good position, it's going to make it easier for you to co-sign on to loans. It's going to make it easier for you to sign those purchase documents when the time comes. So that's something outside of work that you have control over, and you can start to make some wins there, and those wins will carry over into the workplace as well. Start to think of your success in terms of the business's success. So start to think of your own career in that sense, not just what is this company doing as a stepping stone for my next position, but what can I be doing to make this company's future stronger. Business owners will respond to that. The last action item that we need from you is you need to be open about your intent, and you're going to need to drive these conversations. So they are uncomfortable conversations for owners. We want to hold on as long as possible. There's so much work to be done that it's very easy to let years go by without having these conversations. If no one is asking, if no one is even pushing or bringing it up or signaling their intent, it's very easy for us to just continue on as normal and leave it as an afterthought. I would respond, and I think most business owners would respond favorably to find out that there's somebody else in that company that wants to lose sleep over the success of that company, that wants to step into that role, that takes this as their mission in life to see this company grow. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you to understand where you are at in your own career life cycle and also how the company life cycle is tied to that. Do not wait on succession planning. And if this has been helpful for you, watch this video next, like I said, so that you can see a simple test that you can take to see how tied up the business, the value of the business is to your own work in the business. And I will see you on the next one.